Hey Paris, how you doing? All right, thank you so much. I've got your poster in the window. Let's jump over to your writing and let's see. Okay, let's just get that up there. Okay, here's my poster. Decided to go with the beach house party. It took me a while to think about what color choices to use for the font. Kind of like it, but still not sure. I know I shouldn't add the stroke to the text, but I still but it didn't look right. So maybe the color of the text. Make sure I didn't overthink it. Wanted to have a beach in the background since that's the theme, and wanted to have the summer look ice since summer is coming. I also have a little texture to the sand and the water that is darker, so ready to hear any feed. All right, excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the poster. Now, I think the poster, you've done some good things here, and it's. I mean, I think one of the neat things that you've done here is you've kind of experimented with adding a stroke. I'm sorry, adding this gradient to a stroke. So basically what you have here is a rectangle with a no fill and a gradient for the stroke. So that's a really neat technique. And that's a technique that we're going to color in the color section of um, this class. So I was glad to see that. Good job. Now, as far as your stroke goes, listen, this is not traditional text. It's more of a decorative text type, I should say. This font and this font. This is more of a hand rendered. So I'm not too concerned about adding a stroke to this. It's a thin stroke. It's not a traditional letter forms, so I'm not too concerned about the stroke. The reason, so you know, the reason we don't add stroke to type is because it ends up changing the shapes of the letters, and it compromises the original intent of the typeface design. So most professional designers will not stroke text. I won't. Because for me, I think it's doing the original type designer an injustice. Let me explain that. To add a stroke, okay, for this B right here, the stroke would either be on the outside of the outer lines, would sit on the outside, or on the center, or on the inside. And those are three choices that you have to make when adding stroke to type in, or to anything in Illustrator. The problem is, that doesn't matter where you add the stroke. Okay, so if you add a black stroke, if you add it on the outside, it's going to increase the letters, the size of the letters, and it's going to actually make the letters closer to each other. So this distance right here would be reduced if the stroke were on the outside, right? Now, the original typeface designer didn't intend for that. The original typeface designer built in this spacing to the typeface. Conversely, if you put the stroke goes on the inside, now we're changing the shapes of the letters themselves. So in other words, this counter right here, or these open bowls and these counters, they're going to change shape. The shapes are going to be changed. So in other words, if you put the stroke on the inside, this closed counter right here is the shape is going to change. Right? And then if you put it on the middle, you kind of have a little bit of both. That's the reason we don't stroke text. In this particular case, I don't think we need the stroke. I think there's enough contrast here that you can see each of these clearly without having the stroke, okay? Now, that as far as the rest of the poster it goes, I think honestly I don't see enough illustrative technique here. Now remember, this is a class on illustration, so we really want to push our illustrative techniques. My recommendation is to kind of change gears a little bit. So now if we have think about this, Paris, when we have an assignment, all right, you're sitting in a room with 100 other graphic designers, right? And you have the assignment. The assignment is to create a beach house party poster, all right? 98 or 99 of those designers are going to include a house and the beach in their poster, all right? What does that tell you? That tells me that that is a very, very common approach to solve the problem of the beach house poster. What I'm looking for, if I'm going to hire a designer, I'm looking for the designer that doesn't follow that formula. But I said 98 out of 100 are going to add a house and a beach to the poster. I want the designer that's not going to do that. So I want a unique approach. That's what I'm looking for. I think that's what most people are looking for. That said, I think it's great that you didn't just, this is kind of an abstract house, and I think that was an interesting choice itself. Nonetheless, we still have this basic formula of the sky, the water, the sand, and the beach house. My recommendation is to push your illustrative technique in this piece, okay? The only illustration we've done here, basically, there's a little bit of pen work right here. indicating the surf. But that pen work is a little inaccurate. We've got overlapping lines here. We've got overlapping lines here. So the pen work is indicating it could be further defined. Other than that, we've got solid shapes with some, so this is a rectangle, this is a rectangle, this is a rectangle, right? So we're not really flexing our illustrative muscles in this piece the way I would like you to see. Now, I would recommend that you really, really take a closer look at your approach here and maybe consider something more compelling, more interesting. Let me show you an example. Look at this piece right here. Okay, so this is kind of this along the same lines, right? It's a summer party, but we have summer party here, welcome summer. There's nothing here that indicates that it's on a beach expressly. However, it is a beach theme, right? We've got the sun, we've got the sky, we've got the surf. Okay, if we take a rectangle, and I would have done this if I was the designer, I would have taken a small rectangle, almost the same color as this, and I would have just placed it back here to indicate beach. So then we have beach, surf, sky, sun, foliage, right? And I think that's a really neat approach. If you were to adopt and approach something like this, then you have the further opportunity to use illustrative styles on the sun, on the sky, on the foliage, etc., etc. Do you see what I'm saying? So and look at this one here. Again, we got these wonderful illustrative techniques here with the foliage here. The rest is typographic. And that formula can be carried through. I really think that these are some really fantastic examples. Look at the illustrations here. These are gorgeous. I'd love to see you try these types of illustrations here. Okay, and just so you know, I'm just over here. I just researched beach house party poster. There's nothing wrong with that. If this is visual research, you're getting an idea of how other designers are approaching it. I do it all the time, and most designers do. Almost all designers go out there and do some visual research. It's a norm. Here's another kind of neat one. So you can see how these are different. It's not exactly what you would expect. Okay, beach house party poster. We have a beach, a house, and some typography. All right, that to me is kind of a boring approach. Let's try to push this, Paris. And I don't mean that to sound discouraging at all. I don't. I'm just being as honest as I can. Here's another example here. But this is mostly typographic. But as you can see, what I'm looking for is just kind of these really neat illustrative techniques. So here's another good one here. We've got the beer bottles, got the sky, got this kind of interesting water effect here. See what I'm saying? So try it, Paris. See what you think, okay? And see if you can't push your creativity as well as your illustrative techniques a little bit further, okay? Now, from here, what I would say with the beach house party poster, now, whatever visual direction that you adopt, I would say that you've got a little bit of missing information here. As long as this is a poster, we might as well make it breathe and sleep and eat and act like an informational poster. And the reason I say that is because we have time, 12 to 10. Where? Ohio Street Beach. So 12 to 10, what's the date? We need to know the date, otherwise we don't know when to go to the party, right? So we need the date, we need the time, we need the location, and we need the age. That's great right there. Little inconsistency here, right here. This is Ohio Street Beach, capitalized. This is in title case, but down here, these are lowercase. So this is all title case. So watch your consistency there in typographic presentation. Okay, so those are my recommendations. Again, Paris, I don't mean to sound discouraging at all. I really don't. I'm just really, as you'll see, and if you remember me from previous classes, one of my teaching styles is to really push students to their maximum potential. And I'll be doing that the rest of the session. So I don't want to sound discouraging as much as I want you to basically, for a lack of a better way to say it, is to really flex your illustrative muscles here and really apply what you're learning in class to what you're submitting for the assignments and the projects. Okay, Paris, thank you very much. Really important to me that all of my comments here make sense to you. So if you need clarification or if I can answer any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact me. As you know, I'm pretty quick about getting right back to you. All right, thanks, Paris. Thank you very much.